Hey, welcome to On Air with Tiny Marketing, where we explore actionable marketing strategies and tactics that you can implement today. Like right after you're done watching this, that fast. Today, I have Brittany Dixon, founder of Process for Profit by Brittany Co. As many of you know, as your business grows, there are growing pains. And I wasn't immune to that. You realize really quickly that processes need to be put in place so your growing business doesn't fall apart. You just start getting bigger, and then you realize I'm struggling a little bit. I'm going faster than I can handle right now. And that's why you need to put these processes in place. And the same went for me, the same went for Tiny Marketing. Even though I'm all about building like streamlining and automating marketing processes for my clients, when it came to my own business, I needed an outside perspective for our internal processes. And that is exactly what Brittany did for me. She helped me streamline and systemize my lead to sale to client to offboarding process, the entire thing. And we haven't looked back. It's been amazing. And she is going to join us right after the intro. Hey, Brittany.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Can you just introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So, like Sarah said, my name is Brittany Dixon. I am the CEO and owner of Process for Profit by Brittany Co. And we are on a mission to streamline backend processes for businesses so that they can grow and scale and do the things that they're here to do.
I can vouch that she is really, really good at that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so before we get into your presentation, because you're going to be teaching our audience exactly what you did for me, can you tell people how they can find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is processforprofit.co. And then we hang out the most on Instagram, and it's actually brittanyandco.consulting. So I talk about kids and business and cake decorating and all the things. So
Okay, that's great. You can bring up your presentation and we'll get started.
Sounds great. Let me hit share. Can you guys see the screen? Can you see everything?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Yay. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to be here. So I am really here to talk about streamlining and automating basically your lead to sales to project to close process, right? So if you're a service-based business, this is really the entire process of bringing clients on and then letting them free. So just a little bit about me. I actually live outside of Columbus, Ohio, so super small town. I'm a mom of twins. I actually used to organize houses before I organized businesses. And then previous to that, I was an event planner and organizer. So you could say that I like to organize things. So yeah, we've been in business for about 6 years, and it's shifted and changed every single year, and it's been a great journey. So we focus a lot on project and operations management, just general process improvement, this entire client system that I'm talking through, and then really just productivity and time management and efficiency tips, because systems really are going to help you move your business forward faster. So the process we're talking about today is really that from the time you get a lead until they become a client, then you have to onboard them, do the work, and then offboard them. And a lot of the benefits to having really streamlined and smooth processes for this is that you're going to be able to onboard clients faster, which allows you to have more clients, which equals more revenue. Also, you're able to then, if you have a really great system in place, you're able to delegate this to somebody so it doesn't have to be you doing a lot of this back-end admin work. Or you can even automate things. So like we did with you, we automated a bunch of stuff so that your admin didn't even have to do some things, right?
Yeah. Zapier is the best.
Zapier is your best friend if you have a plan in place before you start using it. And then your clients just feel really taken care of when you have this full laid out process and you can tell them like, this is what's going to come next. And you're going to get an onboarding email. And then I need you to fill out this form. They just feel really taken care of. So then they value what you do even more. They can be raving fans, talk about you more, which again turns into more money, which we're in business for, right? And then just referrals, because they're going to be talking about you and you have this process down so quickly, you can take on more referrals, which means more impact and more income for yourself and your business.
Yeah, it really just saves so much time.
Yeah, I love it.
Up front and then nothing after that.
Yeah. And I think service providers really like you are doing the service, right? Like that's what you're good at. The other stuff you have to have, but people kind of just throw it together because they're like, I just want to get to the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. But once you nail down this process, it allows you to get back to doing what you're supposed to be doing and being that service provider or fulfilling the actual client work. If you've got this process in place, it makes it a lot faster to get to that. So really, these are kind of the top levels of the different phases that you would go through. So you have inquiry phase, which is where they're reaching out to you. You've got a follow-up phase where you're checking in with them and seeing if they're ready, if they want to talk with you. Then you're moving in to schedule that call to see if it's a good fit, see if you can actually help them, all of those things. Then you move into what I call legal onboarding, which is really the like proposal, the contract signing, them paying you, all the stuff that we don't really want to talk about, but it has to happen. Then you have kind of that official welcome where it's the onboarding email and collecting information. Then most likely service providers are going to have a lot of backend prep things that they need to do to kind of get ready for that work. The client work happens, and then however long that lasts, and then they're offboarded. So for most service providers, this is what this is going to look like. Each phase may have some different components based on what you do, but this is kind of the overall process. Okay, so starting from the top down, and how basically you really want to think about and streamline where your leads are finding you, where they're coming from, and how you're managing those people. So with Sarah and I, we work together putting together a CRM. And if you don't know what a CRM is, it stands for Customer Relationship Manager. And it's essentially a software that allows you to keep track of your contacts, your leads, your referral partners. And it also allows you to set follow-up tasks to make sure you're regularly checking in with people or following up. So thinking about how we can really streamline this and figure out where people are coming from and how we're essentially collecting them to make sure they're getting taken care of. Because most of us probably have website leads coming in, all the social media platforms, right? I put Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for messages, but we have like TikTok and Snapchat and all the things now, right? Networking meetings and business cards. I know a lot of people that have stacks of business cards on their desk that they don't do anything with. Referrals, email connections, people emailing you, or if you have a scheduler and people are scheduling calls. So you really want to kind of think about like, where are people coming from? Because we need to kind of know how you're following up with them and kind of put them into the CRM. So my favorite CRM, and this is what we put in for Sarah, was Streak. And if you're a Gmail user, if you're a solopreneur, if you have like a really small team, this is a great one to use because it's actually built inside of your Gmail email account, which makes it super fast. Yeah. So then, and we can talk about tech a little bit later, but during this phase, I really just want you to kind of brainstorm and think about like, where are people coming from? Where are they finding me? And how am I making sure that they get put into a central location that they're not getting forgotten about. I'm not leaving money on the table, because I myself have done that. And I'm sure other people have too. You've messaged somebody and then it gets lost in this long thread of Facebook messages. You're scrolling back through and you're like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to send them something. So
Okay, I
yeah,
want to jump in real quick. When you did this,
absolutely.
so I was originally using HubSpot as my CRM.
Yep.
And as we pretty much everybody probably started on HubSpot, it's really robust, maybe too robust. And Streak was great because it's built right into my email. And I was able to create those follow-up tasks. And really, if I click on a lead, I can see every interaction I've had with them right in my email. It streamlined so much.
Yeah. And it really does. That's a CRM is there to basically house that contact and be able to see every interaction you've had. So whether that's email, or if you put a note in their account, or if you send them a text or a Facebook message, but we all have so much going on and so many people that we talk to that if you don't have something like that, things will slip through the cracks, especially as you're starting to grow and scale and you're bringing on a team. So there's tons of options. HubSpot could be a good option. Streak is probably my favorite for solopreneurs. Small teams, my favorite is Pipedrive. It's very simple and easy to use, but it's got some robust features. And then you have your giant ones, the Salesforce and all of that type of stuff. So there's lots of options, but what I say is if you're not going to use it, if it's not easy for you to use on a daily basis, you're just not going to do it, which is pointless.
Yeah.
So you have to find something that works and is easy for you to do. And it's not like a chore going into it to go look up your leads.
Yeah. When we were implementing this for my own business, Brittany's first thing was, how do we eliminate some of the tech? Where can we streamline this? And because I was using Gmail, Streak was an obvious choice. And it does make me go in there a lot more often because I'm like, I'm checking my email anyway. Let's see what my pipeline looks like. Let's see if there's anything that I need to follow up on. And it's right there in my inbox.
Yeah. So, and I used a separate CRM that wasn't inside of Gmail. And just because I'm still a solopreneur with a really small team, it was just one more place I had to go. Whereas I'm already in my email. So I'm already there. I can already see like, oh, I need to follow up with so-and-so, and I should send an email and check in and whatever that looks like. So again, the tech is not the important piece here. It's really figuring out where your people are coming from and how you're tracking them so that you can continue to follow up and keep that relationship building for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. So really that inquiry phase is kind of figuring out how to streamline that. So with that, the scheduled calls, do you have a call scheduler to make that easier? With the email connections and the Facebook messages and things, do you have somewhere that you're adding them into? So the next stage, this kind of ties in with the CRM, but it's essentially the follow-up, because they can be a lead. They could have had interest and chatting with you and all of those things, but now you need to continue that relationship and check in and see if they're ready to get on a call with you. Or if you're asking for referrals from a referral partner or networking meetings, whatever that looks like, but it's kind of just that next step after the first initial conversation. Because most of the time you're trying to move your leads through the pipeline and get them on a call so that they can book with you. Mm-hmm. For this phase, I would definitely suggest using a call scheduling calendar type of tool. My favorite's Acuity. Sarah, I know that we put Acuity in place in Squarespace for you too. So again, it's not the tool and the tech, right? There's 800 options, but really finding the one that works best for you, the one that integrates with the rest of your tools so that you're not having to add additional pieces, and really just choosing something that you're going to use on a regular basis. And then we want to make sure in this follow-up phase, especially when people are scheduling calls, that you have those automated confirmation and reminder emails and those texts, because that's going to allow you to increase the show up rate of people actually coming to your calls. Mm-hmm. So that's something that was super important to make sure you've got in place for sure.
I'm going to jump in right here.
Yeah.
So the reason that we picked Acuity for myself is because my website is built on Squarespace, and Squarespace bought Acuity. So they're completely integrated. And we did these intake forms as well for my business. And we have one for people who are requesting discovery calls, but we also have it for people who are applying to be a guest on this live stream show. And then we set up a Zap, so it automatically moves that intake form into a Trello card for my whole system.
Yeah. So, and this is where you can collect information for lots of things. So I have different calls on mine for my actual clients. I don't need to collect information from them because I do that in a different system. But for anybody that is getting on a call with me, I want to know questions ahead of time. I want to know their business, their website, where they're at, what they're struggling with, what they need. And because I have a streamlined system that allows them to click to schedule, fill out the form, and then it automates the email confirmations, it just makes that sales process so much faster and easier. And like Sarah said, we chose Acuity for her to integrate with all of her platforms and to integrate into her website, which makes it super easy. Yeah. Calendly is another one that's super popular. I mean, again, you have 10 million different options, but you have to kind of look at your tool stack and say, like, can we combine things? Can we limit what we're using? Because I am a less is more kind of girl because we all have so much going on.
Yes, that's something that we consistently kept looking at during our processes. Where can we streamline this? How can we move like one more thing? Yeah.
Where can we cut something? Like, let's not use Google Forms. Let's use Acuity Forms and figure that out. Where can we cut out tech? So yeah, making sure that you've got the scheduler, you've got forms to collect that information. You have that follow-up email sequence within there. That's all going to help you close clients and get them on those discovery calls, which is the next stage. So yeah, I always during this time, because that piece is streamlined with Acuity for me and for Sarah and whoever has done this process, you can then just pull that call and information right before the call. It comes up on your calendar automatically. So you're not digging, you're not trying to find that email where somebody sent you information. It's very connected. You can look at the calendar appointment and it's all right there for you, which is going to allow you to be better prepared for that call. And obviously then know their business so that you can see if you can help them. Yeah. I also suggest for this phase kind of creating those templates as far as like your sales script and kind of those like outlined questions that you need to ask. Now, this may be different from business to business, especially if you have different packages or you have different services, what that looks like. But creating whatever you can in template format. I am all about templates. Anything that you do more than once should be a template, even if you only do it like 5 times, because it saves you time.
It does.
So yeah, having those templates available and ready for you so that you can get on those calls. And then really the call outcome kind of determines what happens next with that client. So if they're saying, yes, I'm ready to move on, they would get moved into the next phase we're going to talk about, which is legal onboarding. And then if they say no, because they're already in your CRM, maybe you follow up with them. Maybe that's a 6-month thing. Maybe they're like, I'm not ready this year, but check back with me next year. We all know if we don't set a task for next year, there's no way we're going to remember to do that.
What were you going to say?
So we've got to put that somewhere, right? So because they're in our CRM, we can say, oh, cool. They were not ready for us. They said they're going to be ready next year. Check back in with them, right? So it's one of those things that's you're not letting them slip through the cracks because now next year comes, that task is ready for you and you can check in with them and they're there. So that's kind of where it branches off, because then if they are ready to move forward, then you're kind of moving them into the next steps, which is really this legal onboarding phase.
And to clarify, we created a Zap between Acuity and our CRM to automatically put discovery calls in the discovery call phase.
Yes. And with that, so that is a great point. Some of the CRMs connect in with Acuity. Since Streak is a piece of Gmail, it didn't. So we did have to create a Zap. But if you were to use something like HubSpot or Pipedrive, you can actually have anybody that schedules within Acuity get dropped into that system automatically. So again, just looking at how those systems connect together to make your life a lot easier. And then this piece, I think, is probably the piece that holds most people up. I mean, I think a lot of service providers and solopreneurs do not have a CRM, and you definitely should, even if it's just you, because you can't keep track of all of that. But I think this kind of legal onboarding, proposals, contracts, payments, project templates, like those are the things that can get really hairy, and there's like lots of moving parts.
Yeah.
So thinking through this and thinking through a client onboarding process, you almost have to think of it as each individual offer. Like you have to pick one offer and go through the whole process with that one offer before you can try and do that for your second offer. There's going to be a lot of overlap in what happens in some of these pieces, but each one will be collecting different information. The templates are going to be different. The language and copy could be different on the proposals. So just think, if you've got more than one offer, that you really need to pick one and go through this process with each one.
And
so
which platform do you use?
Yeah, so I use Plutio, and I was going to talk a little bit about tech at the end, kind of like what I use and stuff. But Plutio, Dubsado does this. I'm not a Dubsado fan, but I know that they're big out there in the space. Honeybook, 17 Hats. That's a lot of these are in the online space, kind of a little bit more popular, but it does proposals, contracts, payments, and project templates all in one space. And I know we set up Hello Bonsai for you, so more options, right? So really just thinking through this, you have to lay these pieces out and then figure out how you can connect them together and automate them. So for me, I use Plutio. And basically when I go into Plutio, I can create a proposal and pop their information in because it's got like the tokens inside of it. So I have a template. And then I pop their information in. I change up tiny little bits if I need to. And then it's got a contract attached to it. So once I send that to somebody, it sends out with a message, which is templated. And as soon as I send that off and they go through and look at it and sign it, it will then kick them to an invoice. It automatically creates an invoice. They can pay right there. And then as soon as that piece is completed, it automatically creates a project from a template. So by creating a proposal template, a contract template, an invoice template, and a project template, all four of those things now like automatically do everything that they're supposed to do once that's set up.
Yeah.
And I know with Hello Bonsai, it's very similar. I know that there are some pieces and some automations and things we had to do within that to make it work kind of in a similar way. But all of the tools have kind of that same flow. You're going to walk through the proposal process, they're going to pay, and then it kind of moves into project status for sure. So with this piece, again, it's not the tech. It's laying all of this stuff out and saying, okay, here's my package. This is what the proposal template needs to look like. This is what we do every time we do this package. This is what we cover. These are the deliverables you're getting. These are the recorded videos. Whatever that looks like, you need to lay that all out before you start using the tech. Same thing with a contract. If you've got like a contract template or if you paid somebody to put that together for you, making sure you have that piece. Most of them, the invoicing and payment process is pretty quick. There's not a whole lot to do as far as template. You kind of just pull in the payment information and then just creating that email template. Then you can decide and put it inside the tech. But you have to have the pieces first, for sure. Awesome. Was there anything you wanted to add into there as far as like the onboarding piece?
You covered all of that.
Awesome. Awesome. So then we get into the fun stuff, right? Like that's all the boring legal mumbo jumbo and payment and all of it, right? We want the payment, but we want to get to the actual work.
Yeah, we want the payment. Don't get us wrong.
We love the payment. Don't get me wrong. The legal mumbo jumbo, not so much. We love the payment, but we're like, all right, let's get started. Let's start working. So I think this is another opportunity area for service providers to really create this like wow factor for clients that a lot of people are skipping over because they're so tied up in all this other back-end stuff that they can't provide like the wow client experience, or it's maybe lacking a few things that they could like add some extra stuff to it, right? So that once you have been paid, like you can't do anything moving forward until you've been paid, things are signed, everything's buttoned up, because I see a lot of service providers also starting work and prepping and doing things before this piece is finished. And I really highly suggest that you don't, because I've seen some messy situations for sure.
Yes. A client could cancel at the last minute and you've already done this work and it just gets a little ugly.
It gets ugly. You've wasted time. You get frustrated. You're like creating all these things and now you have to go delete all the things. It's a whole process. So by having this streamline, you can say you've completely done all of these things. We're moving on to the welcome. So with the welcome email, again, create a template. Almost every time you're pretty much saying the same types of things to clients when they're coming on. May differ a little bit by package, but you want to give them all the information, next steps, what that looks like, what they need to be doing, what you're doing. So go back to your client template or client emails you've sent when people have onboarded. Look at them, see what you can create a template with, and create a template, because everyone's reinventing the wheel every time and it takes way more time than it needs to.
Yes.
So really this client welcome email needs to kind of be that congratulations, thank you, thanks for investing in yourself and your business, welcome to our company, whatever that kind of looks like for you. But you want to get them excited because yes, they've invested. Yes, they're paying you for something, but you want them to be excited about the project. So really diving into that. Maybe even creating like a welcome packet. We actually just did this here at BCO. We created like a client onboarding kit where we gave them information on how to communicate with us, a welcome video, what the timeline looks like, some different resources. We gave them just kind of an overview so that they know while they're waiting on us to get started, kind of what that's going to look like in the back end.
I'm curious, what format did you do it in? Was it like an email workflow or a drive or?
Yeah, so I actually just got a Canva template and created like a pretty Canva PDF. And then it has some links and stuff inside of it that sends them to like resources and stuff.
Okay.
But really you could do it in any format, right? You could give them access to their Drive folder that has a document that says welcome. You could just put a welcome video in the email. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy, and I haven't had it fancy until just now because my assistant created it. So I've been 3 years in and didn't have a welcome packet, but really just thinking through that experience and how you can give that wow factor, and so that the client feels really, really taken care of. The other piece that you have to kind of collect during this time frame is any kind of onboarding information that's going to make your life easier to do the project or to do the work. So creating those onboarding questionnaires or forms to collect the information. And again, you're going to have one for each service that you offer, because each service is going to have a little bit different information that you're needing to collect. Now, a lot of the client information, address, phone number, email, whatever, that's all going to look the same. But for me, like, I have to ask all the different softwares that they're using and the different pieces that they have and what they don't have. So there's a lot of information that if you collected it ahead of time, it's going to make the start of the project a lot faster. And a lot of times this can be built into the software that we were just talking about. So for me, it's built into Plutio. So I don't have to have like Google Forms or Typeform or something extra because it's already there. I believe Bonsai has forms, right? That's what we put. Okay. Yeah.
We were able to automate through their forms and messages.
Yeah. So then as soon as they're getting onboarded, they get the form and the form comes to them so that they're able to fill that out. They also need in this welcome email to have your scheduler link, or if you guys have already determined call times, what those are. So kind of like, what's the next step? How do we get on a call? How do we schedule? A lot of times too, if you have like mini courses or resources or freebies, this is a good time to be like, hey, because you're a VIP client or a one-on-one client, you actually get access to all of these little things I've created, if those would be helpful for you. So putting that in your welcome email template so that you can give them access. And then really, like anything that they need to prepare ahead of time. And this is probably going to be different per person, but even if you just had in your template, like, here are the things you need to prepare, and then you could just type those things in quickly. Telling them kind of what that next step is and what they need to have ready before you guys get started on the project. So this is a really key piece that the customer is seeing and the clients are seeing. And if you have a great experience on this side of things, they're going to be like, wow, they've got their stuff together.
Yeah, you look professional and you can hit the ground running when the project starts.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Instead of this like back and forth and like, oh, we need to schedule and oh, here's information. Like you don't want that to be as discombobulated for your clients or yourself. Like you want it to be like one email, collect the information and done.
Exactly.
So then the next piece, and this is really before the client work starts, is just kind of that back-end prep for you as a service provider. This would be collecting said onboarding form that we were just talking about, creating that project that you're going to keep track of tasks with. For me, I actually do this within Plutio. For Sarah, we actually ended up moving that into Trello. So we have that Zap that creates a project for you.
Yeah.
So again, automation. Automation is your friend if you can the process down, but try not to automate broken processes because I've seen some horror stories. But then really just some of the other stuff, right? Like creating your digital drive, whether that be a Google Drive folder for that client or a Dropbox folder, creating a notebook for them so that you have a fresh notebook. I'm an iPad user, so I've got my iPad with individual notebooks within there, making sure their calls are scheduled, doing kind of research or outlines or prep work that you need to do. And then I also like to go follow them on social. If I'm not already, maybe they came from that way, but I like to go follow everybody on social. And then welcome gifts and goodies. So I think a lot of people want to do this, but I think a lot of people don't do it because they didn't have an onboarding form that collected an address. And then it's weird to ask if you're like, hey, can I have your address? You're like, why? Why do you want my address? But if it's on an onboarding form, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to fill that out. And I even put that on my onboarding form. I'm like, so I can send you goodies so that it's not creepy. I'm not going to come to your house. But I think I think a lot of people want to do this, but because they don't have that address on their onboarding form to collect from that client, it then becomes this awkward thing. And they're like, well, okay, I guess I'm not going to do that now. So really just kind of going through all this back end stuff that you have to do to kind of get ready for that project, and figuring out which pieces you can streamline and connect together with the other systems. Then obviously you have that client work, and this could be a quick project, could be a week, could be a month. This could be like a long-term 12-month thing. This is going to look different for everyone, but essentially you're going to look at having some kind of kickoff call, that initial call where you guys are starting. You want to make sure you're having some sort of central location for that client tasks, files, communication, everything that's happening with that. For Sarah, that's in Trello. She's got a Trello board. For me, my client stuff is in their Plutio project. So everything's in one space. Making sure you're saving those call recordings to that folder if you need access to those, any kind of client notes, assets, images. This is going to vary a whole lot just depending on what you do, but really trying to condense it into one space. Again, I'm like a all-in-one kind of girl.
My clients all have their own Google Drive that's linked to their Trello project, so they can access all of that, and we record the calls and have the notes available right there.
Yeah, for sure. Because if it's all in one space, then when you're going to get on that next call with the client, you could be like, boom, Trello board, boom, Google Drive, like I'm ready to go, instead of, oh, wait, where did I save that? Where did that email go? Where's their information? I feel discombobulated.
Yes.
So that's really that next phase. And then offboarding, a lot of people that do longer term retainers, this is something they don't do super often. Even people that do projects may not do all of these different steps, but basically once that the work is completed, you're going to probably have some kind of wrap up call to finish things up. You want to kind of file all of their notes away into their client folder. Really any deliverables that you have to give them, whether that be PDFs, resources, videos, whatever, making sure that those are in their file. I have this step in my process is I actually use a lot of passwords with people, and I use LastPass to share those with clients and for clients to share with me. So I actually have a step in my process to go delete their information. Like, first off, I don't like clutter, so I don't want it in my LastPass. Second off, I don't want to be held liable if I still have their password 2 years from now.
Yeah,
So Yeah. So making sure that I delete that. I'm like, our project is done. We've wrapped up. I'm going to delete all your stuff. Here's everything. You're ready to go. So that's that next step is really that offboarding email. And again, create a template because we're saying the same thing when we're like, hey, we're done with the project. Here's your stuff. Here's access to help for however long, but create a template for that. And then I always file their Google Drive into their folder into an archived clients folder. I'm following up for a testimonial because that offboarding email, I typically am like, hey, it was so great. This is what we accomplished. Here's your folder with deliverables. And I would love it if you could provide a testimonial if you loved working together, right? So following up for that. And then since you have their address, you can send a thank you card at the end instead of being like, hey, I want to send you something. Can you give me your address? And it's the end of the project. And it's like it's a weird thing. So, and then if somebody referred that client to you, making sure that you send that thank you to the referral partner, if that's applicable, because obviously you want to keep your referral partners happy and sending more clients to you. Yeah. So yeah, it's templates, and really walking through each offer that you have through each of these different steps. So here's some of the tech that I talked about earlier. So I've got Plutio, and I actually created a free onboarding template in there as well, if you guys are interested. PandaDoc is another good one if you want something super, super simple. It basically can do a proposal, contract, and invoice all in one document, and it connects to like Stripe, PayPal, QuickBooks, and all of that sort of thing for payment. So super easy. You use Bonsai. We talked about Streak. And then another one that I've found that I've kind of been looking at is Visita. So it's kind of like Plutio meets a scheduler, meets a few things. So, but again, it's not the tech. You have to hash out the process first and then find the tech later. Now, I will say I have tried pretty much all of them and I absolutely love Plutio, and they're just continuing to add lots of different things. So definitely lots of potential there. But the tech is always the thing I get the questions the most about. And I'm like, okay, tech's important, but let's hash out the process first, because you might be setting up the wrong tech. Like you're trying to set up a process in the wrong tech because you didn't know what the process was supposed to be to begin with.
Yeah, that's spot on. It's the same in the marketing world. If we don't know exactly what you need, we can't pick up the tech.
Yeah. And even my members inside my program, the first thing they're like, oh, what system should I use? I'm like, ooh, what are your goals? What are we doing? What are you working on? I was like, because until I know that, I can tell you to go use Asana, but if you're using 17 other different tools, they might not work together. So people always want to go to the tech first. And I'm like, we need to fix the process first.
The tech's the fun part.
It is. Everybody wants to play around with like the newest shiny object, but I will tell you, I've set up stuff inside of tools and people are like, oh yeah, that's not going to work because I have this. I'm like, okay, well, should have told me about that because yes, this is not going to work. Yeah. So super, super fun and not fun piece. I know the tech is a headache for a lot of people. So and then
that likes it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really all I had. I am definitely open for questions and things at this point. Cause I know that's a lot of information. You have to like go process that process, I'm sure. But it really is, if you can nail down that like call to client to close process, it streamlines things so much, saves you so much time in the back end, and creates such a good front end experience that you're going to see referrals from that because people are seeing the value.
Yes. So what I'm seeing is start with looking at your process and what your customers are, where they're coming in from and how they're moving along in your process. Then create templates.
Yes. Templates for everything.
Then find the tech that you want and then automate everything.
Yes, for sure. So I actually, this is a whole process, but I use my road to scalability framework. And the first step is the R, and it's recognizing. So what's working, what's not working, where are people coming from? What does that even look like? What is the strategy? then you can start optimizing systems, then you can automate and then document. So I see too many people try to go straight to automation before they know what the process needs to be. And then it gets very messy very fast.
Yes, I can see that. So while you're talking about that program, can you tell us how people can work with you?
Yeah. So we have a group coaching program called Hustle to Flow. And essentially it is the strategy, systems, and support to help you through business. So it's for newer business owners. Typically, if you're not at that 6-figure mark yet and you need that support and you don't know which systems to use, your strategies are all over the place. You're trying to create a book and a course and all the things at the same time. I really help you streamline that. And then we set up systems to support that and then really help you scale and get to that 6-figure mark.
Okay. And then you and I did the one-on-one program.
Yep. So then we have VIP days. So if you're like, I just want to knock it out, get it done, we do VIP days where we'll work together for a couple half days and map out that entire process for you, set up the entire tech, get your templates ready to go, and really get the entire thing up and running.
Yes. And it's well worth it. It's amazing.
Yeah. We got on here and you're like, oh my gosh, it saves so much time. And it's all of these little things that just add up. And I ask people and they're like, it takes me like 3 hours to onboard somebody. And I'm like, it should take you like 10 minutes. So we're going to work on that.
Yeah. Now it takes no time. And I'll sometimes forget like how automated everything is. I'm like, oh, this is all done for me.
Yeah. You're like, wait, did I do that?
Yeah,
I did do that. No, see, you impressed yourself. So you're definitely impressing your clients.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. I will talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me. And Brittany, she is amazing productivity guru. And as a reminder, we're live every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And all videos are available on demand on our website and on the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed today's show, you can do a couple of things. Follow or subscribe wherever you're watching right now. Like this video so it ranks higher with the algorithm and people can see it. And subscribe to our newsletter where you will get actionable marketing tips every single Tuesday. And you will also get first access to when we have a new guest coming on the show. Let me pull up our newsletter. And thank you again. Bye all.